who inspired Macaulay Culkin's new movie, opening tonight. Then, they meet again.
You're different. You're much more open. You are more grown up.
He was an angel, left home alone. Now he's starring as a devil in disguise. Is there something you don't know about Macaulay Culkin?
Mac, are you a misfit? Do you have a dark side?
A very personal one-on-one about his family troubles, his love life, and his controversial friend.
It's easy to make jokes about him just because he is who he is.
Barbara Walters with Macaulay Culkin as you've never seen him before. Plus, you've got mail, and it says you're part of a class action lawsuit against big, rich companies like these. But don't get too excited.
If every member of the class collected our prize, I think we would have each got 9 cents.
And the lawyers?
Well, I think the lawyers were getting $3 million.
Say, give me a break.
2020 begins in 60 seconds. From London and from Times Square, John Stossel.
Good evening and welcome to 2020. Tonight, one of the stranger stories we've ever brought you. It's called Party Monster. It's aptly named because it's the true tale of excess and depravity that's hard to believe was once part of the hot party scene here in New York City, where the in-crowd wanted to be and be seen. Strangely, the real-life party monster is being played in a new movie that opens tonight by an actor who's always been the picture of innocence, Home Alone star Macaulay Culkin. To bring you this story, Barbara joins us from London, where she's on assignment. Hello, Barbara.
Hi, John. I'm here in London to do an interview. Tough assignment, London. But first, let's talk about this movie, Party Monster. It's hard to think of Macaulay Culkin as a monster, but in this, his comeback to films, Macaulay plays Michael Alec, a flamboyant young man famous for turning New York after dark into a freak show of drugs and ultimately murder. Tonight, my colleague, Bill Ritter, talks with Michael Alec, who is in prison for that murder. And I sit down with Macaulay Culkin for a frank talk with this still very young star who is beginning a whole new chapter in his life.
I took a shower washing every body part with actual soap.
It is an almost shocking transformation from the lovable Kevin McAllister in Home Alone into Michael Alec, a twisted sort of Pied Piper whose escapades eventually led to a murder.
Money, success, fame, glamour.
It is a true and truly bizarre story. Mac, you've been away from movies now for 9 years, so now you come back in a low-budget movie playing a cross-dressing, gay, sociopathic killer. Whatever happened to the kid from Home Alone?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. It just, something that just happened. It wasn't anything like I was aware of trying to break some kind of mold or some kind of image.
What intrigued you about Michael Alec? Why did you want to play him?
It was a challenge. It was just so different than anything I'd ever seen before. The whole world was just so unique. It was just something I had to do.
I wanted to create my own world.
It was so colorful, and it was just so outrageous, and you wouldn't believe it unless it was true. So I had to be a part of it.
Michael Alec is gay.
Correct.
And with very effeminate mannerisms. And you play him as gay with effeminate mannerisms. Are you concerned that people may think you are gay, or would you care if they did?
I really don't care either way. I'm not, for the record. But no, that wasn't a problem for me.
Tell us how you see Michael Alec.
I had to try to find a way to connect with him and try to find similarities between him and I. It's so easy for other people to, make him out to be a demon. I think that was one of the things that they always said, was that he was this wicked person, but everyone loved him, and it was just such an odd thing, this world that he created. It was just, he was wicked, but you loved him anyway.
Did you? And why? To take us to the outrageous world of Michael Alec, Here is my colleague, Bill Ritter.
The place, New York City. The time, the late 80s and mid 90s. The scene, well, you can see for yourself. Chaos, or total freedom, depending, of course, on your point of view.
We were living in this bubble. Laws didn't affect us. We could use drugs. You could drink underage. You could do anything you wanted, really.
Michael Alig was the undisputed Pied Piper of the New York club scene. He created a world without limits or rules for a group of young misfits who would become known as the Club Kids. But Michael's fantasy world would eventually crash and burn, done in by drugs and, ultimately, murder. This is where Michael Alig lives now, Attica State Prison. Thick gray concrete walls have replaced the velvet ropes, and armed guards have replaced the bouncers.
Michael, the winner.
Alig, now 37, is serving 10 to 20 years for killing and dismembering a fellow club kid, Angel Melendez.
It makes me nauseous, you know, it makes me, you know, I have this guilt gut in my stomach that has sort of coagulated since that day, you know, ever since that day, it's been there.
That's how people will remember you, Michael.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, it is a part of me, you know, it's a part of my history, so, you know.
History for Michael Alig begins in South Bend, Indiana, where he never seemed to fit in.
People calling you names and hitting you and spitting at you in school and stuff like that.
And why did they hit you and call you names and spit at you?
Because
you were gay?
Yeah, because I had a lisp. I kind of still do. I didn't know how to play any sports. It was all very macho and very manly and very, you know, everybody was into tractor pulling and, you know, things like that. And I just didn't, that wasn't me at all.
So as soon as he turned 18, Michael left South Bend, left behind all those who had picked on him, and headed for New York.
The greatest motivation in the world, I think, is I'll show them, you know. So I figured I'll come to New York and I will prove everybody wrong.
In the city, he tried college, but didn't fit in there either. He soon fell into the New York club scene and found his calling as a party promoter.
Michael Alig was king of the club kids. You didn't get any higher than that.
I'm fine.
At the time, James St. James was Michael Alig's best friend and has since written a book about Alig and the club kids. St. James says Michael's parties quickly became a magnet for all the other misfits.
He would give them all little names like, you know, you're Oliver Twisted, and you're gonna dress up in little Victorian velvet suits, and your name is really Denise, and you're gonna be a go-go girl, you know, and like he would sort of give everybody their little personalities.
They looked silly, and they made a spectacle out of that.
Filmmakers Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbato were so fascinated by New York's club scene that they started documenting it on camera and through Michael Alig. These scenes are from that documentary.
Welcome to the king and queen of Manhattan pageant.
They soon realized that the level of absurdity with which they could dress up was precisely the thing that could get them the attention that they were denied all the time.
He would sweep in with, you know, 30 or 40 of these club kids, these freaks, these drag queens, and just sort of take over, and everyone, all the people, all the paying customers were just, you know, their jaws would drop.
And that was the goal.
That was the goal. That's why they came into New York City, to see the crazy nightclub people. And so Michael provided this spectacle that was worth every penny.
All this outrageousness was making the clubs a lot of money. It was also making Michael rich. He was pulling in more than $10,000 a week.
I never even counted it. I would take money by the handfuls and put it in my pockets or, you know, and literally leave the club dropping money and people picking up the money as I'm going out.
Michael, you're gonna get arrested.
Michael didn't limit his venues to the clubs. Imagine hundreds of kids invading the subway for an illegal dance party. Or storming a burger joint.
Here we are.
No prank was out of bounds.
The cops are here.
Michael Alig and his club kids were becoming famous.
What's your future going to be like, Michael?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm sort of like living for right now, for now, right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. The world could end tomorrow, and I want to make sure I'm having fun right now.
Enter the 21st century.
In the early 90s, Michael began calling his parties Disco 2000, and each became more outlandish than the one before.
One of the most sensational parties that Michael ever did is this series of parties that he called Blood Feast.
The poster for the parties featured a hammer and had dismemberment as a prominent theme, an eerie preview of things to come.
Michael would hire 50 people, and he would tell them, okay, well, I'm paying you $50, but you have to have blood on your costume when you come tonight, and it better be bloody. And people would usually play along with the whole thing.
I have 2 crack vials.
To help keep these outrageous parties going all night long, the club kids used an assortment of drugs, and it didn't seem to matter that they were illegal.
Any party favors going on this evening?
Yes. Can I talk about them on TV?
Oh, but of course.
Okay, like lots of coke, K, ecstasy, rohypnol. I don't know, I just like to do a little bit of everything.
Well, make sure you have some for all of us to share.
Used in cats and subhuman primates only.
Michael took drugs too. His favorites, an animal tranquilizer called Special K, and heroin.
He didn't do heroin because he craved or needed heroin. He did it because it was seen as a naughty thing, as a rebellious, defiant, silly.
As depicted in the feature film, Michael, played by Macaulay Culkin, is high on heroin supplied by one of the club kids, Angel Melendez.
I get it. You're a nobody who I turned into a somebody. Because of me, people know who you are.
A fight breaks out between Michael and Angel over money.
He was choking me. He was choking, he was biting, choking. We were in a struggle.
Then, in a scene right out of one of Michael's bloody posters, Michael's friend, a man named Freeze, tries to stop Angel with a hammer. 3 blows to Angel's head.
He wasn't exactly unconscious until I think it was a sweatshirt over his face, and I guess suffocated him.
Did you not think that suffocating him was going to kill him?
It was just one of those panic things, we were just like completely high, and it was just, it wasn't even like it was really happening. When I remember it now, it's like it was a movie. It's definitely like a movie.
But you did pour Drano down his throat.
Drano and baking soda. We put ice on the body and baking soda all over because we thought maybe it would mask the odor.
So you got some knives, and you cut off Angel's legs. You took the body and did what with it?
We put it in a box, and the doorman came up and picked it up and took it down, put it in a cab, and we took it to the river, and the cab driver helped us throw it in the river.
Waiter! Waiter! Wait.
If Michael felt remorse, he didn't show it. He kept prancing around New York and organizing more parties.
I'm an easy target.
And when Michael appears on camera for the documentary Party Monster, in a fit of foolish bravado, he makes a shocking admission.
He was one of those copycats that we hate, and so we killed him. I killed Angel, and that's the kind of thing that gets me in trouble.
When we were filming him, and he told us he had done this, that he had killed Angel, the way he told us, we thought he was joking. We didn't think it was true.
He's probably wearing his wings right now. His real wings.
One of the people who didn't think it was a joke was Johnny Melendez, Angel's brother.
I spoke to Michael Alec. He didn't want to face me. He was like talking and like facing this way and that way and looking, and he didn't want to look at me at my eyes, because me and my brother, we look alike a lot. So right there I said, nah, this guy's guilty.
Johnny Melendez thought Michael was guilty, and soon everyone else would too. Angel's body washes up on Staten Island, and cops begin questioning Michael and Freeze. Freeze quickly confesses and gives Michael up. Alec eventually pleads guilty to manslaughter and is given 10 to 20 years in prison. Michael Alec has been behind bars, isolated for the past 6 years. But now, suddenly, he's back in the spotlight, on the big screen, with a big-name star playing him.
doesn't bring you some notoriety of some sort in a sort of a weird, perverted way that here you are being portrayed by Macaulay Culkin
In a weird, perverted way.
As a man who chopped off someone's legs and put Drano down them.
In a weird, perverted way, yeah.
But in a weird and perverted way, here you are again, the center of attention.
That was a different kind of attention. That was all about
trying to live outside of those rules.
When we come back, Barbara Walters gets personal with the actor who plays Alec, Macaulay Culkin.
When 2020 returns, what happened when the actor met the real party monster in prison? Then, Macaulay's private life. Has he finally found true love? And what about his close friendship with Michael Jackson?
I've slept in the same bed as, like, you know, a bunch of my friends. It's kind of just what happened.
Next.
My headaches have always been a pain in the neck.
Macaulay Culkin has had to cope with tremendous pressures in his 23 years, including superstardom at the age of 10, a painful break with his father, and a teenage marriage and divorce. This is my third interview with Macaulay Culkin, and each time he is more open, even tonight, to talking about his relationship with Michael Jackson. But first, why did he decide to restart his film career portraying an outrageous nightclub promoter and a cold-blooded killer? You live in New York, do you not?
Yeah, I live downtown.
Macaulay Culkin has been off-screen, practically hiding from fans for almost 9 years. So it was no surprise that when we strolled by the church that once housed the Limelight, Michael Alec's old nightclub, I was the one recognized by a fan.
Father Walters.
What do you think he is? She mistook Mac for my son.
My son! No, darling son!
I should be so lucky. Mac's starring role in Party Monster might once again make him a familiar face. The filmmakers say Culkin, who co-stars with Seth Green, was their only choice to play murderer Michael Alec, leader of the outrageous Club Kids.
Next time I'll make you VIP, very, very important person.
They said they needed someone who could do horrible things, but with great charm. Before filming, Mac learned all he could about Alec and his world. Your research was primarily seeing the documentary?
I said send over everything, the raw footage that never made it into the documentary. It's really interesting stuff. It's, you know, Michael getting ready to go to parties, Michael at parties, doing drugs.
You went up to the prison and met face-to-face with Michael Alec.
Yes, I did.
What was he like, and could you relate to him?
We spent 4 hours at the prison. I'd never been to prison before.
I know he felt really uncomfortable, and I felt uncomfortable, so it wasn't like, you know, meeting at a cocktail party.
I kind of just was listening, and I was watching how his hands moved, and you know, he seemed remorseful, but at the same time, he was putting up the facade. He was putting on the Michael Alec act for me, the wild and crazy guy.
When I'm nervous, I make jokes, and so I made probably too many jokes and didn't take anything seriously.
Alec seemed to think that being with you was, to say the least, interesting. He said that he thinks there's something a little sinister about you.
Macaulay really embodied that kind of goody two-shoes, but not really, there's something naughty about him thing.
He felt that you had a dark side.
Oh, gosh.
Do you have a dark side?
Oh, I guess you can say that, but not anywhere near as dark as him. It's so easy to see me as this wicked little thing, you know, this wicked little, like, you know, blonde-haired kid running around and just making trouble for everybody.
You know, there's something that's very weird or ironic, and that is that Alec's friend, Jane St. James, said that they played a game about who they would like to have sex with. Do you know what I'm going to say? And your
yes,
name
it's
came
in the book.
It's in
yes.
the book.
Yeah.
How'd you feel when you read that?
I was forewarned by people that they make reference to me in the book, and I mean, I thought it was funny. I mean, I wasn't offended, and you know, it is a little weird at the same time.
He said, Alec said, that what bound a lot of these kids together, because they were very young, into the Club Kids, was that they were outsiders, they were misfits. You're an outsider, you have been most of your life. You know what my next question is? My next question is, Mac, are you a misfit?
Am I a misfit? I think I've always had a hard time, I think, sometimes fitting in. It was hard for me to communicate, talk to people my own age, especially when I was younger. Oh, I got to go off and make a film, and I got to go off and do a press junket, and you know they've never even heard of what a junket is. It makes you a big target when you're 10 years old, and so I mean it was hard for me to fit in.
You had like 6 years in which you just dropped out as far as we knew. You weren't making films and so on. Bad years. How come you didn't turn to drugs?
I saw what it did to people. I saw what happened to the people around me. Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, half the people I went to high school with, I haven't spoken to in a long time. I don't even know if they're alive or dead anymore. It wasn't anything I wanted for myself. You know, and I'm thankful for that.
After really dropping out of films, are you now back in it full force?
I don't want to do what I did before. Before it was, you know, it was like people's livelihoods were on the line, you know, with me. You know, they like built an industry out of me. It was just this really odd dynamic that I think made me uncomfortable for a lot of my young life. And so you know, I don't want the big machine that it was before, and I'm not one of those people who needs that gratification of doing like 10 films a year. I'm just trying to be, you know, an artist.
Mac has already completed work on another film, Saved. It's a black comedy about Christian youth, and it's due out next winter.
What's the matter? I'm scared to be seen in public with a stripper.
No, scared of being seen with a cripple.
Culkin's early career was lived under the iron hand of his father, Kit, who drove his son through 13 films in only 6 years. Mac said his father was an expert at breaking people's spirits. After a bitter custody battle for control of the talented Culkin brood, Mac retired at age 14, saying he'd had enough. He never wanted to make films again. You know, we've talked about the times that you dropped out, so to speak, certainly from doing films. And in great part, it was a reaction to your father. When we first did our interview, you weren't talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a relationship with your father now?
No.
Still not?
No, it's not something I'm necessarily looking for either. I think the way it is right now is the way it should be. Sadly.
I want to talk to you about Michael Jackson. We talked about him in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a very close friend of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Is still a very close friend of yours?
Yeah, no, we're still friends.
Perhaps their bond exists because the world of young superstars is so rarefied, and these two could understand each other, though Michael Jackson is 22 years older than Culkin. All this business with Michael Jackson, dangling the baby from the balcony window and so on. You're the godfather of, what, his 2 oldest children?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What kind of a father is he?
I think he's a very good father. I think it's so easy to tear him down just because, you know, it's easy to make jokes about him and it's easy to tear him down just because he is who he is.
What about the dangling over the balcony business?
It was a mistake, absolutely. And he knows he made a mistake. He knows it was foolish, and you know, he just got caught up in a moment, and it just kind of happened. He said it wasn't anything he thought about, and of course he wasn't thinking, you know. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely remorseful, and you know, he makes mistakes like everyone else.
You know, when there was a documentary on Michael Jackson's life, he talked about young boys sleeping in his bed, in his bedroom. Well, you and your brother Kieran had done that.
Yeah, but see, people, that's really what they kind of don't get, is that it's, you know, he has this bedroom, but at the same time, it's 2 stories. But yeah, and it wasn't anything like weird. It wasn't anything we thought about it. We go to the movies and we do this, we do that, and it's like, okay, you know, just you plop down, you go to sleep, you wake up, you know, it's like, it was just kind of just what friends do. I've slept in the same bed as, like, you know, a bunch of my friends. It's kind of just what happens, you know? Like I fall asleep on their couch.
Part of the relationship with Michael Jackson is that neither of you were ever allowed to be kids, really. Do you ever feel that you can make up for that childhood you didn't have? Or is it just gone?
No, I mean, I guess I'm a big kid. You can ask a lot of people, but at the same time, I mean, I wouldn't trade any of my experiences for anything in the world. I'm very happy with who I am and where I've ended up, and I wouldn't change one thing. So if you change one thing in the past, everything else is different.
The last time we talked, you said that you spent a great deal of your time indoors, in your hotel room or in your apartment, just watching television.
Yeah, yeah.
Slightly reclusive.
Yeah.
Are you still?
A bit. I definitely prefer the indoors as opposed to a crowded room, crowded outside. But, you know, I get out of my shell every once in a while.
Come on, you
I have a dog now, so now that gets me out of the house at least 3 times a day, you know. And
what is she?
She is an English bulldog named Audrey, who's a real handful.
You're also old enough now to have the tabloids write about you and your romances.
Yeah.
So I got to do the one question.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, here it comes. Okay. When we last spoke, you were in the process of getting a divorce from Rachel Miner.
Mm-hmm.
And now there seems to be someone new in your life, Mila Kunis, who's an actress, and the tabloids are talking of an engagement. Any truth to that?
Oh, no. We're not engaged. We're not getting married. I just, you know, I have a very beautiful, very wonderful relationship with somebody, and it's going very well. And you know, we try to keep our private lives private and our public lives separate. And so it's there, but it's a good thing.
You know, talking with you now, I mean, I've come back like every year for the past 3 years.
Yes, it's like tradition, like Christmas. Except
exactly.
No presents.
You and me, right?
Oh,
okay.
yes.
You're different. You're much more open. You are more grown up.
Oh, thank you.
Do you feel that?
I think so, yeah. I feel more and more comfortable doing these things. I think I've led a very unique life, and I think I've led it for a reason. And I think I'm a smarter, stronger person because of it.
It seems to me that he is. We'll be right back.
When 2020 returns, want some of this? Then you might want to check your mailbox for a surprise letter like this. John Stossel's Give Me a Break, next.